Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Oscar Best. Trevor here, joined by Thomas. It is our second Oscar predictions video. We are talking about the directors and the writer. Actually, I don't know if this will be the second. This is the second one that we're recording. I don't know what order I'm going to put these out, but we're talking about directing and writing. I'm joined by Thomas, as always. And we had our Best Picture video and maybe the acting ones earlier. I don't know. But we're talking about the directors and the writers, which are some of the weirder above the line categories to talk about, because with picture, just talking about the bigger movies. With acting, you can usually find the biggest performances, but directing and writing, like, you always have a couple that are big picture players and then a couple random ones, which are
especially writing. I feel director is even slightly less like that, because you can just sort of go look at the picture lineup, go yes, no. Writing, you're always sort of scrabbling around for just
and always one category stronger than the other. It's a weird one, but
yeah.
let's go ahead and get into directing, where we have Sean Baker winning, and we have Denis second. I know a lot of people will be like, but Denis, I get it. I get that it's very big and it's a massive technical achievement. Even I, as somebody who didn't necessarily care for the movie, understand the technical achievement that is Dune Part 2. However, I think it's just kind of going to be Sean Baker's moment. I think that the Palm win was really massive for him. I think that A24 is going to be able to push him in a really important way. And we kind of talked about this in the Best Picture video. If there's enough of a contingent to not say Denis for a nomination on the first film, I know this is bigger, but I feel like there will still be enough of a contingent to prevent him from a win. In the same way where I think that people will be able to rally behind Sean Baker. He seems very well liked within the industry, particularly like the independent side of things. So I don't know. I feel like this is going to be Sean Baker's year, and I'll be very happy about that.
Yeah, I mean, he's a writer-director as well. That's always good for both categories. Both categories, they tend to like these people that are both writing and direct. They feel like the project is theirs. Exactly. And Villeneuve is, like, really not the face of Dune. If you ask most people who directed Dune, some of them would know. I reckon some of them would go, I don't know, Timothée Chalamet maybe directed it.
Okay, that's a bit not within our space. If you're asking the general public,
if you're asking the general public,
I don't know if my dad knows who directed Dune, and I don't think he knows what Honora is, to be fair. So I don't know if this is the best argument that you're going on
but
here.
Also, either way, like, even though it is a big technical achievement, so was the first one. Like, there will be. I think
Cameron didn't win Best Director for Avatar.
No, exactly, for neither of them. And, like, I think there will be a lot of people who are just going, well, yes, these very big technical achievement, but we saw this 4 years ago. So, like, we don't need to give it the win. And there's not even...
I don't feel like this. I don't feel like these types of massive technical achievements do win unless the film is winning Best Picture. And I'm sure you could point to an example, but just going off of vibes and where the Academy is at right now, I don't think that type of thing wins without a picture win. In the same way that, like, Oppenheimer, right? Like, no, if Oppenheimer wasn't winning, Best Picture by the end, obviously it was still Nolan. But, like, if Oppenheimer wasn't throughout the season, the thing, I don't know.
Nolan is also a far bigger director than
right, and he also had the overdue narrative. Like, for anybody that's going to try and make that comparison, I just don't think it's apt. I think the comparison for Denis is going to be Peter Jackson. I think we'll see that with Dune Messiah. And I don't think that this is the one quite yet.
And even that, I don't think he will ever win for the Dune films, to be honest with you. Like, even, like, as you say, you can't even make the argument that this is a climactic finale, whatever, like Return of the King, because it's not. There is a third one. So, I just really don't see Villeneuve, and I think Sean Baker makes sense as a career sort of thing. As you say, he does seem like someone who's really well liked within the industry.
He's been under the radar. He's been not really appreciated by the Academy yet, but been consistently cranking out bangers. I mean, since like 2000.
And stuff that really feels like his own as well. Like, he's never even tried to.
He's a contemporary auteur. He is a modern day auteur.
Exactly. I think there will be a lot of people who will go, he's not trying to appeal to us, therefore we're going to do him because that's what we like. We like something a bit different. And if this is the culmination of his career, this is his sort of his big one, his big awards contender. Obviously, he had the Florida Project, give it to him. But that wasn't the big thing.
This is his Palme d'Or winning film.
Exactly. This is Sean Baker's award player, and therefore I think if you're not going to give it to him for this, you're never going to give it to him. And I think there are a lot of people who would like to give it to him. So I just think that makes sense.
A24, they're good at campaigning, guys. Exactly. We have, like, A24 is just a main staple of the award season. For sure, they really are. So those are the top two. At number 3, we have Mohamed Rasuluf, and this might be a bit high for some people, but again, we talked about this in the picture video. Like, the story is so there, and I think if Neon is smart, and I think that they are going to be smart with their campaign. Like, they're gonna make people know his story before people see the film. And for those who don't know, the story is that he escaped imprisonment potentially in Iran, because this film is a very anti-Iranian government film, and they tried to imprison him for it. And the fact that the thematic subject matter of the film ties directly into his personal story, like, this makes sense as a Cannes director pick, and obviously Sean Baker as well, but like, American directors don't count, right?
Yeah.
This makes sense to me. This makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, I think this film will have a sad narrative, in the fact that, like, people will only really be talking about it in terms of the
Yeah,
content
not
around.
probably just
I
how
don't
good the
think
film is.
that's great for filmic discourse in general, but it's great for awards campaigning.
Yeah,
So, yeah, I think that will have that going for it. As you say, this feels like the thing that could do, I probably won't get into international because it probably won't be submitted, but it's that kind of risky Hamaguchi pick, I feel
yeah,
that we always need to look out for, really.
absolutely, definitely. Number 4, we have Luca for Queer. This is on the assumption that Queer is very good.
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure. I think they will maybe want to do Guadagnino again. Like, did he get nominated in 2017? I think he
I'm
did.
pretty sure he did.
I'm pretty
I'm
sure he
not
did. But like,
bothered enough to
either
fact
way,
check it.
this has been a big year for him. And as we say, if Queer is a major picture player, then why would his direction not come along with it?
Yeah, exactly. I just think it makes sense.
Because
And
especially when you've got as well things like Sing Sing and A Real Pain, which we'll get to in the lineup, that are going to be big picture players without that sort of directing caliber behind them.
yeah,
This one is a picture player with that, so there's
we're
space for other
assuming.
things.
We don't know that much about
Assuming,
this film,
obviously,
but
assuming the film's good, but
yeah, assuming, and also assuming that it does have director vibes, which
yeah,
we don't know for sure. But
yeah,
again, we're going off vibes right now, and it just feels like the type of thing that would happen if it is as strong as we think it is. And then we have Pedro in for The Room Next Door because yeah, sure,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. I think the branch will want to nominate him, in the same way they'll want to nominate Baker. And if
Like,
we've
this
got
is a
the room
very
next door,
European art house branch at this point, and like,
exactly,
he
yeah,
makes sense if, again, we have this film in Best Picture. So if he's in Best Picture, then why not? Like, why
yeah,
why can't he?
for sure, exactly.
So then you have Eisenberg at 6. I would not. I would have Edward Berger as my 6. I think that Edward Berger makes a lot of sense to, if that film is going to be very big, directing this sort of like really, really tense thriller. He was very, very close with his last film. I could see people saying like, okay, we really loved your last film, was the number 2 for Best Picture. Let's give it to you this time around. I am not like, I think Eisenberg is there. We have A Real Pain winning Best Picture, but I don't know about this one.
I think he's the face of the project, which is going to be good. He's a big name. It's not like Sean Heder for Coda. It's not like that
Later,
kind
yeah.
of thing. Because Jesse Eisenberg is a big name. He is a pretty established director at this point, even arguably. And so, if A Real Pain is going to be a Best Picture winner, I think there is easily a chance that he could just sneak in, especially if he can get like he may follow a similar path to I'm blanking on Alexander Payne for The Holdovers, where he gets
Oh, okay.
nominations here and there and then doesn't end up getting the overall thing. I think that is probably the most likely path where he maybe picks up DGA but doesn't get anything else.
Sure.
Whereas Berger, I don't see how Conclave can be a majorly directed thing. I think it will really ride on the screenplay and the actors. Like, it's all set in one location. Sure, you can film the Vatican City very beautifully, not with not much effort.
Sure, but
That's
I
sort of
mean,
hard thing to do.
directing is also performance, and I think that if we're talking about SAG Ensemble, it's Sing Sing, it's Emilia Perez, and it's this, and we do think that this is gonna get, like, upwards of 4 acting nominations, like, which is gonna come down to Berger's direction. And also, like, it's gonna be maintaining this very, like, tense thriller tone, like, the entire time, that I do think comes down a lot to the direction.
Sure, but how much of that will be factored into a director conversation, or how much of that passion will just be channeled into other categories? It Conclave is a film that I just think the passion will be channeled elsewhere, and
Sure.
Berger will get lost in the
Like,
conversation. Really, is
regardless,
why
we
I
we
just
don't
don't think
have
he
either of
gets
these
it.
people being nominated.
Yeah,
You're a lot more high on Eisenberg than I am.
yeah. I just think there is a good chance if A Real Pain really is a thing, Jesse Eisenberg is a very easy man to nominate.
I get that. I get that. We have Greg Quadar for Sing Sing for Sing Sing. I mean, you know, we have it top 2 for Best Picture along with The Real Pain. If it's, you know, if it's there, then sure. Like,
Exactly. I think this is a very similar case to A Real Pain, just the name is not as big and
yeah,
established.
I
Therefore,
fear this
not
will be a
as
Celine
exciting.
Song scenario though.
Yeah, most likely.
If anything else, but also like, you know, this is, I just mentioned with Saga Ensemble, it's gonna be a very big cast. It's gonna be very well directed, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be there. Jacques Audiard with Emilia Perez, the other film I mentioned for SAG, all right back to back. I mean, yeah, like he's a name. Like Jacques Audiard is a name.
Yeah.
And he is a Cannes international pick. Like he could easily slot in there. We aren't as confident about the film. It wasn't nearly as like critically well received as something like Seed of the Sacred Fig was, but he's very much there, especially with Netflix backing.
With Netflix backing 100%, I don't know if this will be like, I don't think this will be a major player this season, and
Sure.
therefore I think he will just be sort of squashed out of the conversation and made room for
Yeah, I mean, we have
other
this as like an
people,
8 to 10
really.
picture player. So
Exactly. Maybe he ends up being Ruben Östlund when no one's really predicting him and he just randomly gets in, maybe.
yeah,
But I just, at this point, I don't think it makes
I'm
sense
happy
to
with
allow
9
him.
from I'm happy with 9.
Exactly. Where we've got Emilia Perez, where we're predicting that to do well, I just don't think director will be the thing that is really talked about for this film.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. And I'm with you. And then at number 10 is where we have Steve McQueen, someone who's probably going to be very high on a lot of lists. This film is going to be very big. It's going to be very, you know, bold. It's going to have like, you know, probably if it's going to be a big picture thing, it's going to have a lot of text. But in our picture video, we explained we're just
Yeah.
getting bad vibes off this one. I've been seeing a lot of early red flags, and I'm just not entirely convinced of this film as a major player. And if I have to predict the one big flop, I think this is it. And obviously, if it's the flop, Steve McQueen is not coming along with it. But he's there just in case.
Yeah, no, exactly. This is a just in case thing because we are gambling the fact that Blitz will be a slight flop.
Yeah,
But to be honest, if it's not, and if it is a major player, I think
he's
there's a
in.
very solid argument to be made that he could even win.
Yeah,
Like it makes sense if you're doing Blitz quite high in picture, I can understand why you'd even go so far as to say McQueen's going to win. Personally, we
we just
don't
don't
have
feel that.
that,
We don't
so
feel that.
McQueen's on the list. But like, yeah, as a
Yeah,
gamble.
and like Ridley Scott, Todd Phillips are also there, but I don't know
Yeah,
if it's
yeah,
really anything. Also, I
no.
realized in our picture video we didn't mention here. Just
No,
no.
the trailers, yeah,
The
really
trailer was
poor.
fucking
Yeah,
terrible. Like
so
it's just a no. It's a no for me. Okay, let's talk about screenplay. Let's talk about original. So we have A Real Pain winning. We have this winning Best Picture. If it's winning Best Picture, it's winning screenplay.
and
Like
it is a very showy screenplay, like, it is half a
so
film.
many monologues.
My major problem with the film is there's so over-reliance on monologues,
Yep.
but that is not a bad thing when you're trying to
For
do a
writers.
screenplay
And
category.
also, you know what convinced me of this? Jesse Eisenberg losing Best Actor is seen as a massive fucking robbery.
As it should be. That is a good legacy, that is a robbery.
And this is gonna be, let's give Jesse Eisenberg an Oscar.
Exactly. It's got that narrative
Like,
there.
even if this doesn't go as far to win Best Picture, or you know, potentially go really far in supporting actor with Kieran Culkin, even if that doesn't happen, I feel pretty good about A Real Pain winning screenplay here. Like, this is probably my most confident prediction that we're going to be making in these early July videos. It feels so much like I think that's going to happen. Like, I think it. Yeah, I feel good.
Exactly, because the other contender is Anora really here,
Mhm.
and like you could make the argument, oh, give Sean Baker his Oscar. I think that argument is made in director though.
Yep.
He's not going to double up. I don't think that would be strange. And if that does happen, I think Anora is a surefire bet to win picture. But I
Yeah.
just don't think that's how this season's going to pan out. Like we're not going to get
No,
an
I think we're
obvious
going to have a
Best
very
Picture winner.
open season this year.
Exactly. Therefore, like it doesn't make sense to do. I think Sean Baker would. I think it's much more likely that he'll be recognised for his talent as a director, and that'll be
Yeah,
like his
and we have a Nora
surefire
too, but
prize. Exactly. We've got an or two. There is a chance, but that it does win. But I just think it makes more sense to do A Real Pain, especially as you said, if we are predicting this to do big things in the awards race, potentially even win Best Picture.
yeah, for sure. So yeah, no, I think it makes a lot of sense. And then at number 3 is where we have Seed of the Sacred Fig, which like what else? Like really what else? And if we think this film's gonna be good, if we think it's gonna be the Drive My Car Triangle of Sadness type beat of the season, picture director screenplay.
For sure. Exactly.
Like,
It's
it
just
just makes
that.
sense.
It is just that package, 100%. So it's not going to come close to winning, obviously.
No,
But if we are predicting it to be in picture, I think it is just director and screenplay that comes along. And it's a very obvious package to predict. But it's one that's panned out in the past few years. We've had
absolutely.
that kind of package.
Yep. No, fully with you. And then fourth, where we have The Room Next Door, it's another type of thing where it's just like, yeah, why not Pedro? Like, why can't this pick up picture, directing, writing, maybe an acting nomination? Like,
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people are sleeping on this film. But I don't know. I think if this film is going to be strong, I feel like screenplay is one of the first nominations it gets.
Yeah, 100%. Because Parallel Mothers, obviously, that got in right. Or
No,
am I just misremembering that? No, was it just Penelope Cruz got on? But either way, I think it was on. It was definitely in the conversation.
it certainly is.
And so, like, yeah, why not for his first English language one? It just makes sense if you're going along with great acting performances, great
Yeah.
direction. Like, I think the script. I think it will be fairly heavy on the screenplay as well, as most of our films are. So,
Yep. For sure.
why not?
No, yeah, agreed. And then at 5 is where we have Hard Truths. This is a new Mike Leigh film. Yes, it's by Bleecker Street, but if Bleecker Street can get anything, it's going to be screenplay.
Yeah,
And especially considering again how shallow this lineup is. And Mike Leigh, obviously, very well respected filmmaker, has been strong in the screenplay category in the past. And it just feels like it's going to be a righty type thing that I think could happen.
yeah, no, for sure. Not much more to add, really. I mean, we've got to have some lone screenplay stuff in every year. There's a
Yeah,
couple ones that just get lone screenplay, and I think this is the case for this one. Probably, I
like the
think Hard
man's
Truth
gotten
will
4
end up being
screenplay nominations before in the original category.
exactly.
Like,
So it makes sense, I think, for Hard Truths to sort of fit that package this year. And looking at the other one, like what else have we got in picture that's in original screenplay? We've got
like
Amelia
Amelia
Perez.
Perez,
We got that at number 6,
but
but
like
that's
they
a
don't do
musical.
musicals in screenplay. They don't do
Yeah.
musicals in screenplay, so that probably won't be a thing. I mean, Challengers, it's a lone screenplay potential. If Challengers is getting anything, it's this.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. But equally, there were a lot of people who did have problems with the
Myself
challenges,
included.
like the third act, exactly. So,
Yeah.
but if anything, challenges will get it will be screenplay. So
We have Blitz here,
hopefully that.
but I mean, we don't think the film's gonna be that strong, and screenplay would be one of the elements, even if it was strong, that I would feel more shaky about.
Yeah,
So,
no, for sure. And then
um,
like that's it really in terms of
like
the
Dee
major
Dee
players of the
is a
big film.
very good film from Sundance that both of us liked quite a bit, but
Yeah, but
it's
it's not original
it's gonna
screenplay
be
for sure.
easily focused as second or third priority behind Conclave and maybe something else. Juror number 2, it's Eastwood. I don't have that much faith in Eastwood at this point in his career, but like in case it's good, I suppose.
Exactly. It's the type of thing where we'll get to Tony Collette in another video, but we didn't
Yeah.
mention it even in terms of picture because we just don't think it will be a massive thing. We think that
Yeah.
is one that's going to
Like,
definitely
and
come
what
through.
else? You have Kinds of Kindness. Just no,
No,
it's an anthology and it also
no,
isn't that great.
no.
The Apprentice, absolutely not. History dot like, well, what
There's
else
just
is
nothing
there?
else really. So I feel fairly decent about the 5 that we have gone for in terms of just
Yeah,
the
I
challenge
feel
is weak. The
I actually
field
agree.
is weak this year.
Yeah.
Like it's interesting. Adapted screenplay is looking to be the stronger category this year. There's always
Thus
one that's
far
stronger,
thus
and it
far, I'd
looks like
agree.
adapted it'll be.
Yep, no, for sure. And let's just go ahead and get into Adapted. We have Sing Sing winning here. So we have Sing Sing, A Real Pain, and the
Honor.
Honora, thank you, being the director and screenplay combinations. And I just think that makes sense. And we have those as the 3 strongest films in Best Picture. It would make sense for them to split director and screenplay in this way. Sing Sing and A Real Pain feel like that feels like a screenplay package.
Yeah,
It
yeah, for
and
sure.
it just I don't know what else to do. Like at this point, like Queer is here, but it's a bit of an unknown quantity.
Queer and
Um,
Conclave are both sort of gambles to suggest they're going to
yeah,
win. Oh, you also mentioned this point, which is sort of like a random aside, but they make sense as a screenplay as paired winners. Like
yeah,
often you'll get the pairs of winners that just sort of make sense and fit together. I think Sing Sing and Real Pain both winning their respective categories makes sense
yeah.
in
Like the
terms of we're
vibes
looking
are
at how
there, and we keep on talking about
exactly,
vibes in early predictions because there's no stats. We don't know
yeah,
anything. Like we
exactly,
know we know like some of the movies that are good, and that's
yeah.
it. We're going off
But if we're
vibes
looking
and
at
vibes.
what kinds of films are going to appeal to voters this year, I think it will be the smaller films with a big heart, you know, that traditional fucking phrase that they all wheel out come award season. But like Sing Sing, as you say, Sing Sing and Nora, A Real Pain, they make sense to win these kind of categories. And like Queer could, if it's major, Conclave could win if it's major, but they're risks at this stage. Given
I feel more confident about Sing Sing as a major thing than I do those.
100%, 100%.
Dune's gonna be there.
100%. Yeah, the first one managed to sneak in, and this one has been received better. So
right,
yeah.
But I don't feel great about yeah, I mean, it's not gonna win, guys. Like
no.
And then we have the collaboration at 5, which is just kind of because I don't like the options below it, but we do think that the collaboration could be a thing potentially. It doesn't have a distributor yet, but it does feel like the type of thing that could pop up at fall festivals and people could get behind it. And you know, it has a strong cast: Bettany, Paul Bettany, Jeremy Pope, Daniel Bruhl, Melissa Barrera. It's about Andy Warhol and Jean-Michel Basquiat. 80s New York. It's about artists. And I mean, this is the man who's written Theory of Everything, Darkest Hour, Bohemian Rhapsody, Two Popes. Like, he got nominated for Theory of Everything. He got nominated for Two Popes in the writing categories. So I don't know. I think that this could check out as a potential nomination here, just because I don't like what's below it as screenplay options.
No, exactly. Like, it's a more competitive field, adapted screenplay on the surface, but when you actually look at the films they're competing, like we mentioned, Joker's not going to be a screenplay thing.
Yeah, absolutely not.
And like The Piano Lesson and Nickel Boys, I think, are in a very similar vein to one another, where like maybe if they're Oscar contenders, I can easily see them slipping in. But if they're not Oscar contenders, that they'll be weird.
But even then, like Piano Lesson, like Ma Rainey's didn't happen.
Yeah.
Like, if you were looking at previous August Wilson plays, so yeah, I don't know.
I just think they'd be weird lone screenplay, and that is what we would be predicting them for at this stage. Maybe not The Piano Lesson,
not Piano Lesson, but
the Nickel Boys in particular. Like,
well, not even that, because we'd have that supporting actress with Anjanou Ellis probably.
That's true.
Like,
but either way, actually, I guess it's a different point that needs to be made there. Whereas if we're putting it in screenplay, then we'd have to put it in picture, because like it would be weird for it to get acting and screenplay and not picture.
Yeah, I don't know. They just they don't feel like they're there at this point. Those are ones where I want to wait. Joker as well. Just no. Night Bitch. Apparently the novel's very good. I do think, unfortunately, this film will have to overcome being called Night Bitch. I think that there is a certain ilk. I think it's an amazing title, for the record, but there is a certain ilk of Academy voter, and we've talked about them getting a bit more progressive recently. There is still a certain ilk of Academy voter that's going to look at that and immediately dismiss it.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So you know, that just depends on how really strong it is, I think, as a whole.
And just based on the sounds of things, it seems like a vehicle for a very physical performance rather than
Adams,
a performance. Like, it's just because the book is very successful, that doesn't necessarily, that's because you need to write about the psychologies of characters. Whereas here, you can just show it visually and physically. And I think that's what this film will be trying to go for, more so than in terms of the writing. So I just don't think it will really be a thing in this category.
Yeah. And again, like, well, what else are we looking for here? Like genuinely, I mean, here, no, absolutely not. Hitman, it's not gonna happen.
Definitely not.
Not gonna happen. Nosferatu's not a screenplay thing. You have The Fire Inside, which is written by Barry Jenkins, but I don't see that happening. Like, it gets pretty shallow once you dip out of it. Like, it's top heavy, but I don't know. I feel pretty comfortable with our screenplay categories.
Which is why we've got Inside Out 2 at number 10.
Yeah,
and like I don't think I've ever put an animated film and adapted in a screenplay category. I know you were flirting with Boy and Heron really early on in the year. I think Spider-Verse may have been in around the conversation. It just never happens in my book. Like, yes, obviously
it's been since Inside Out.
You can point to times when it has happened, but I don't think I'm ever going to predict an animated film unless it's like so obvious, and this one just isn't. Like, yes, it's doing very well, but equally it's
Inside Out is almost certainly going to win animated this year.
Like, it's a sequel as well. That's never going to be a good thing. So
yeah. No, I feel pretty comfortable with our screenplay lineups. So that is where we at for directing and writing. Make sure that you stay tuned for the acting videos if those aren't already out. We will see how I decide to release this, but until then, thank you everybody for watching. You can follow us on Letterboxd and Twitter if that's something that you are interested in the description. You can also subscribe if you want to watch more of this, if for whatever reason. But until next time, thank you everybody for watching. Stay safe and goodbye.